oh yes. Welcome in, one and all. Welcome back. Welcome to it. It's another round of your favorite craft beer podcast, The Hop, with Gabe and Stephen. I am Stephen. Yeah. That is Gabe. And Hello. We're here to do what we do each and every Thursday, which is drink beer. Our favorite pastime. Here to make it fun, inclusive, and entertaining. How's it going, Gabriel Priya?
Everything is just so awesome. We have another great new episode. We've got 3 beers. We're splitting off for one each, and then joining up for another one. We're going to Philly. I feel good. I feel ready. This was, full disclosure, we both I think I speak for both of us when I say we both wanted the Eagles to win the Super Bowl, the big bowl.
Big facts.
We were planning on being like, hey, we got some Philly beer. Let's do them for the win. And then Pat Mahomes said, hold my ketchup. And it didn't work out that way. But we came full circle and we're back. So we are very proud and excited to introduce Stolen Sun Brewing and Roasting Company. They are a brewery. They are a roasting company. They make other kind of cocktails. They're in Philly, and they are dope. If you're on YouTube, Steven's inside, I'm outside. It's all good.
Yep, this is another one similar to the episode we did 2 weeks ago, where it's a brewery that you may not have heard of, a little lesser known. Last week we were hanging out at Revelry Brewing Company, and this week or 2 weeks ago, I should say, and now we're at Stolen Sun out of Philly. Yeah, we kind of gave the Chiefs their due last time they won the Super Bowl, and
with the Kansas City brewery.
Yeah, Boulevard Brewing. But
there
this
it is.
time
I couldn't
around,
think of it either.
we were all just kind of rolling our eyes, whatever. We were hoping for Philly to win it, to be honest. But you know what? We can still make a great episode out of it, and it's gonna be fun. And this is, like Gabe said, it's a brewery, it's a coffeery. A roastery.
Coffeery.
It's a coffeery. All in one place, which is beautiful. Yeah. So excited to get into it. Gabe alluded to it, but you can find the show on YouTube if you're interested. Just search for the Hop of Craft Beer Podcast. Once you found us, subscribe, click the bell, leave a comment, do all the things that you do on YouTube. You can find us on Instagram at the HO Podcast. You can send us an email, thehopod@gmail.com, if you have suggestions, requests, or you just want to tell us that we are beautiful. You can also rate and review the show wherever you listen. We appreciate it. It's the best way to provide your feedback and help us make the show better for you, which is what we are aiming to do each and every week. So if you've already done that, thank you. And if you haven't done that, no time like the present.
Let us know what breweries to hit up next. Let us know what breweries to repeat. Let us know if you've already gotten Hogwarts Legacy, because let's be real, everyone pretty much has it at this point. I'm the only plebe on this podcast that has a PS4 and not a PS5, so my dumbass has to wait. But there might be somebody else in this podcast who has it.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but since it's been invoked, we're not going to talk about this for long. I do just need to throw a disclaimer. Whenever I talk about this, J.K. Rowling sucks.
True.
The game is great.
Yes.
That's all we'll say on that. Okay, you ready to get into the news?
Absolutely.
All right.
Beer news.
Okay, in the world of beer highlights, the state of Virginia has a bill proposed. If it is signed by their governor, whose name is Glenn Youngkin, the bill will allow brewers in the state to, you like his name?
Whose name is Bill Youngkin. Wow.
Glenn Youngkin.
Youngkin. It was just the way he delivered it. It was beautiful.
If Youngkin boy signs the bill, then the breweries there will be allowed to self-distribute their beer within the state. That's cool. Glenn, get it signed. Make it Make it easy for breweries to operate. Thank you.
Glenny boy. Glenn, we need your John Hancock.
Mr. Youngkin. During a webinar several weeks ago, the chief economist for the Brewers Association was doing a piece, and he warned that basically hop supply is going to be an issue in the coming years. They were just talking about how we've had more hops growing than we were actually using in this country for the past several years now, and the market is going to adjust to that, and basically there will be less hops available going forward. So he's predicting that we will need to be adjusting to that, and brewers should be prepared. There's always hops from other countries, like Tettnang hops.
Tettnang.
But
there's like
this guy's...
Tettnang hops, and then like all the other ones.
And then the other one, Gold Ring something. There's a Nelson Sauvin that might come from somewhere else.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, and Lost Abbey is vacating their space in San Marcos, California. They're giving it to Pizza Port. We talked about this a while back, that Lost Abbey is kind of scaling down or back. They're not disappearing, but they're just sort of, they're going to start resting on their laurels a little bit. They are connected to Pizza Port. It's like all one ownership situation. So Pizza Port's going to be brewing out of that San Marcos space now. Lost Abbey will be leaving. So not big news, but just something to take note of.
We begin the news and notes with our very first story. Anheuser-Busch is laying off a bunch of people, which is dumb, which sucks. It doesn't make any sense, but, the economy is what it is, and here we are. It started when they were ceasing operations and eliminating jobs at the Cleveland, Ohio-based Platform Brewing. The news there then expanded into other brewing companies like Texas-based Carbach Brewing and, oh boy, Patchogue. Hey, I think I said it right. Patchogue, New York-based Blue Point Brewing. And that was according to some LinkedIn posts from former workers. Also regarding to Virginia-based Devil's Backbone and Asheville, North Carolina-based Wicked Weed. So it is news, but it is very unfortunate. There have been some layoffs, so we're very sad to see that. Obviously, the brewing industry is already kind of tight, so we hate to see people be removed from their posts, and we hope that they'll go find other brewing jobs or turn other opportunities into jobs. Speedballing off of that, the Molson Coors and ABI fight will always continue. They apparently don't like each other, but apparently the good old National Advertising Division of the Beer Better Business Bureau, just Better Business Bureau, I threw in beer because I'm funny. They've recommended Molson Coors discontinue using their light beer shouldn't taste like water tagline in some of their commercials because it pisses off ABI.
Can I just say, Molson Coors and Anheuser-Busch fighting over advertising is one of my favorite things in the beer world. It's amazing. It's like watching Jake Paul get into the ring with some other guy you hate. I don't know. It's just like watching. It's so stupid, and they both their beers suck equally and taste the same.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're that Anheuser-Busch gets defensive and mad when Molson Coors says their beer tastes like water is sort of it's y'all. So you're hitting a sore spot there,
Exactly. See, that's my problem with this.
A little sensitive about the flavor of the old Anheuser-Busch beers there.
They have a tagline that says, light beer shouldn't taste like water. It should taste like beer. And then ABI is like, hey, that's mean against us. And it's you're literally confirming that your beer tastes like ass.
Isn't Anheuser-Busch, isn't Bud Light the one that had the commercial a few years ago with the hops, water...
Yeah, the ingredients.
Corn, basically shitting on Molson Coors for having corn syrup in their beer, which,
where
fair.
Is he?
And also,
he's here somewhere.
Where is he? He's here. Yeah.
Stay thirsty, my friends.
We don't have a side in this fight. We hate them both, and that's why watching them struggle and skirmish is entertaining to me.
We're the two guys from the Muppets, the two old guys up in the balcony who are just shitting on them the whole time. That's us with popcorn. We're just having the time of our lives. But yeah, so that's been fun. So layoffs and company fighting of ass beer. And then I also should mention, earlier I mentioned Platform Brewing. They are ceasing operations in Ohio, but the good news is the brand is going to live on as 3 IPAs. The collective brewing company is no more, but their beers will remain alive and well. If you see them, get them because they're hurting right now.
Because why not? Moving on, this isn't big news, but Heineken did renew their partnership with Formula One, Steven's favorite sporting event. And it's Heineken 0.0. It's been a long-standing partnership. If anybody besides me watches these races, you'll know you see Heineken advertised everywhere. But the new contract basically names world champion Max Verstappen as the new spokesperson for Formula One. He won the world championship last year, and he is the dude. So what it pretty much means is those commercials. I mean, I don't know if you even remember, Heineken 0.0 had a commercial running last year with another Formula One driver. It was the Schumachers. It was like his dad and him. And his dad was like, don't have another one. And he was like, hey, there's no alcohol in it. And he like let him keep his keys, ringing a bell.
Oh, yes. I do remember. Well, and then they like cruise off in like a Ferrari. It was wild.
Correct, because they used to drive for Ferrari. Well, Max Verstappen is the driver for Red Bull, and he is going to be the spokesperson. I would imagine we'll see him turning up in commercials this year. That's fun. And, you know, good for you, Max. And also shout out, he won the opening race of the season, which was this past Sunday. Red Bull 1-2'd it. It was great. Yeah, thrilling match. He was in the lead the whole time. Truly what you want to see.
Steven, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I do like Formula One. I think it's cool, and I think it's very, when you really look at it, it is very difficult because, like, okay, I know we're going to get shit for this. I'll take the heat, lay off Steven. NASCAR, you're just going around in a circle. Formula One, you're turning, it's crazy.
No, I'm with him on that. I'll take the heat with you on that. You don't have to stand alone on that hill. NASCAR's boring.
Great, thank you. Here's the thing with Formula One. All the races are at like 8:30 in the morning.
Yes, and I have a little tip for you, and it's called On Demand. It's called ESPN Plus, bruh. You gotta you wake up on a Sunday morning whenever suits you, and you hit play on that little button, and it's like the race is happening right now. Nothing's different. Just don't Google the results beforehand. That's all. You think I'm watching if they're early for you?
Stop me.
If they're early for you, you think I'm watching that? I'm not getting up at 4 a.m.
Well, I don't know. I just picture. I imagine you awake if like the race is at like 1 o'clock here, 10 o'clock. You're up. You're there.
10 p.m. Sure, but they're usually at like I think this week's race was at like 7 a.m. my time, which is not even that early. Usually they're at like 6 or 5 a.m. my time. So I ain't watching that.
Yeah, because they're all in friggin' England or some shit. Yeah, whatever.
They're all over the world.
Formula One is cool though. I'm with you though. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, not big news, but, you know, wanted to give a shout out. Go. Why not?
To end our news and notes, we're going to talk about one of Steven's favorite breweries, Firestone Walker. They are debuting the...
Yay! Yay! They make me happy.
They are debuting their Parabola 2023 and the return of Paraboloid. That sounds like a robot that's gonna terrorize the city, but it's still badass. So for those of you who don't know, the Parabola is their Imperial Stout. It's back with a new vintage. It was aged in, quote, a rare blend of spirit barrels from Blanton's and W.L. Weller distilleries.
Michael?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Exclamation point.
Yes.
That deserves a bang because that sounds pretty sexy. The release is also accompanied by the next edition of the small batch spin-off, which is the Paraboloid, which was aged in 20-year-old Elijah Craig bourbon barrels. Let's get Mike's brother.
Touchdown! Unbelievable!
They're probably not even close to being related, but who cares?
I don't think so, but Parabola is magical. Parabola is life. Firestone Walker is my favorite brewery of all time. I have Parabola in my fridge at present, and it's delicious. If you find a 2023 version, honestly, if you find an older version, if you find a 2022, a 2021, they've been doing this since like 2006, 2005, something like that. If you find one, buy it and just enjoy the ride because it's really just one of the best beers you can possibly have.
The 23 edition, aged for a year, an equal combination of 8-year-old Blanton's, 12-year-old W.L. Weller, weeded whiskey barrels. The weeded barrel They say it accentuates Parabola's signature richness with fine notes of cereal grain, while the bourbon barrels imparted their classic notes of toasted coconut and cacao nibs. Guys, these beers are epic. They are what we refer to as event beers. We think you should get one and crack one open on a rainy day, preferably when you have nothing to do the next morning.
All right, we don't have a whole lot of time for this, but we're going to do it anyway because I have a problem and I need to air a grievance out.
This week in gross.
Athletic Brewing Company, what are we doing?
You guys were so high on the list for so long, and then you fell off a few. All right.
Look, Athletic Brewing has been on our show. If you're not familiar, you should be familiar. One of, I would say the leading non-alcoholic brewery, certainly in this country, probably in the world. But Athletic Brewing has decided that what needed to happen was a beer that you could drink before you work out. And so they teamed up with Super Coffee and they created that, and I have a problem with it. It combines coffee, non-alcoholic beer, and upcycled barley rice protein. And it's basically positioned as a pre-workout beverage. It's called Souped Up. It has caffeine. It has less than 0.5% ABV. That's more than 0.0% ABV, though.
Exactly. that means there's alcohol in this. I don't care if it's 0.1. There's alcohol in this. You can't drink and then go work out. Your body will fail you.
It's just like, at what point, I'm all for creating a pre-workout beverage. That's cool. Gabe likes pre-workout. I like pre-workout. It's fine. But at what point are we not, it's fine. You're not drinking beer. It's okay. We don't have to call it beer. We don't have to pretend it's beer. You're just not having a beer right now. It's fine. You're on your way to the gym.
Yeah.
Why is this happening?
I think Athletic, because they already have non-alcoholic beer. If Athletic Brewing made a pre-workout for the gym, I don't get what's so wrong. I'm with you. This isn't a beer. Okay, our brewery we're featuring today, they do coffee. It's not a beer. They don't have alcohol in the coffee. It's a side gig. It's a side thing they do while they're making beer. You guys can make pre-workout. You already have athlete sponsorships. JJ Watt's involved. Maybe he needs pre-workout. Well, he's a freak of nature. He doesn't need anything, but you get my picture.
You can make coffee. You can make beer. You can make pre-workout. You can make coffee-flavored beer. You can combine beer and coffee. All of those things are fine with me. I just don't understand why we need... Basically, what you can't combine is pre-workout and beer. That's where I get... Yeah. That's the disconnect for me. I don't need a beer before I work out. I don't need a drink that tastes like a beer before I work out. I don't need somebody pretending that, I just don't. Was there a market for this? Why? Por qué? Although,
I will say, thinking about cracking a beer as I'm walking into Planet Fitness does make me laugh.
It's
it's a funny skit idea, SNL, where you at? But
the commercials are going to be great. Guy on the treadmill.
Yeah.
Guy next to him.
Yeah. Everyone's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And it's no, Athletic Brewing. And it's we don't care. And it's no, it's a pre-workout. And then they're going to go, oh. No.
It's not even fair to call it gross. It might be gross. It's just why. Sometimes this segment is just why. And that's...
This weekend,
This weekend, huh? All right. We got to get drinking. Well, I have a toast. And you know what? Let's go to Hawaii because it's honestly one of the most random toasts of all time. Did you know that the day this episode drops is March 9th? And did you know that March 9th happens to be National Meatball Day? Bet you didn't, but you do now.
Nope. Wow.
Yeah. So I propose a toast. On top of spaghetti, all covered with cheese, I lost my poor meatball when somebody sneezed. It rolled off the table and onto the floor. And then my poor meatball rolled right out the door. It rolled in the garden and under a bush. And then my poor meatball was nothing but mush. The mush was as tasty could be. And then the next summer it grew into a tree. The tree was all covered with moss. And on it grew meatballs and tomato sauce. So if you eat spaghetti all covered with cheese, hold on to your meatball and don't ever sneeze. Cheers. I didn't think I'd be able to get through it, to be honest. I had to not look at you.
I have something to say.
Yeah.
And it's a bold statement. This message is for all the people who don't listen to us. How can you not find that entertaining? Stephen just had the meatball poem on top of spaghetti, all covered in cheese, with Hawaiian music in the background, and now we're going to drink beer about it. Like, what more do you need, people? This is gold.
You know, sometimes I work really hard to make sure the toast is tailored to the brewery and or appropriate for the. You know what? That one was
and
for
then
me.
It becomes National Meatball Day. Wow, that was incredible. I'm blown away, to be honest with you.
Thank you. I thought you'd like that. Next week is
Can we end this episode? Like, I think we're done.
Our next episode's our St. Patrick's Day episode, so Gabe gets to do the Irish toast. So I thought I'd pepper in a little Italy
God.
right before that happens. Okay, you ready to drink about it?
I guess so.
I guess.
That was...
Okay, Stolen Sun. Here we go. We are kicking it off with my first beer, and that is the Sweet Tang Intergalactic Gose. This is 4.5% ABV. IBUs are at 13. No review from Beer Advocate on Tap has it at 3.8. And from the can, description from the brewery is our kettle soured Gose launched to the next level with an intergalactic infusion of our favorite breakfast drink. It's tart with a blast of retro tangerine goodness. Sit back, relax. You are clear for takeoff. I don't know where to start. I think I'll start with the can art first because it is fun. It's got these little aliens, which somehow are showing up on the can, which is wild. It's like
don't question it. Don't jinx us.
You've got they're like little alien guys, and then in the back you have like a floating like hop dude out in outer space, and then Earth. It's like this intergalactic thing. And then what looks like the planet Saturn, but it's made out of an orange. So
fun,
exciting.
They really want you to know what you're drinking. I get it.
For sure. It is a Gose. It is a kettle soured Gose. These tend to be very tart, sour people. Tune in. This is your moment. Now let's deal with the tangy elephant in the room. It's called Sweet Tang, and they say it's an intergalactic infusion of our favorite breakfast drink. Now, I'm assuming for copyright reasons or something, they can't outright say that there's tang in this.
Yeah.
But I think they're tang in this.
Tang was the drink that, for some reason, the mascot was like an orangutan. Oh, I hear it now. Anyway.
What?
I just got that. Tang, orangutan. Now I get it now. I was always like, why do they have an orangutan? I don't get... Oh, now I hear it.
You just realized that in real time?
More or less. Whatever. Okay. We don't have to worry about it.
Tang, I wasn't allowed to have Tang. Tang was it's funny because I kind of forget that Tang existed, and I because of this beer, I was looking it up today, and it's the marketing for it is your daily dose of vitamin C, as if it's healthy, and they just don't mention the endless amounts of sugar and chemicals and crap that's in that. But it'll go with
your breakfast. Yeah.
So here we go. This right off the bat knows. Okay, so. Well, I should SRM chart. It's probably around a 6-ish. It's amber in the glass, very clear, not very hazy at all. Poured with a decent head of this kind of fizzy white foam, which has since receded. There's nothing in the glass. It's just still. And there's no lacing to speak of. I'm drinking out of a teakwood glass. The nose is highly funky. Lots of sour esters going on there. It's the kind of thing you can tell it was kettle soured because it just like hits you with that punch of like, oh yeah, oh she funky for sure. Behind that, you get a lot of citrus. It's definitely very tangerine heavy. There's some yeast too, and some dry like hay quality, I think, or straw. The malt is not completely disappearing. It does smell a little bit almost like Belgian-y or Pilsner-y. I mean, behind the funk and the orange and the sour, there's something, the base
Interesting.
of it. Yeah, I'd like to know what the malts are in here, because the base of it is definitely fairly malty, and that comes through on the nose. But
this was one of those beers that they didn't have a tremendous amount of information. So we're going to have to use our professional caps to really dissect this guy.
And I would say across the board, this brewery, it's again another one of those breweries. We say it frequently, but when we do the smaller breweries, their websites just have less information. The beers, it's harder to kind of glean stuff from the internet, which is fun because it allows us to sort of form our own opinions, unfiltered, if you will. So
yeah,
here we go. I'm going to drink a beer with Tang in it.
Oh God, I hope it's good. I hope that the Tang really comes forward and really brings out the flavor notes of citrusy, orangey, tangerine-y. If they made this with Tang, I want to know how. I would love an instructional video because, it's interesting. It's very interesting. But Goses are good. Let's see.
Let me tell you something. It does come through a lot. This is incredibly citrusy. It's very tangerine and very orange. The funk and like sourness of it is kind of toned down because of that, which I really like. Kettle soured Goses, I've said before, they tend to be so estery, so sour that they're like puckering and so tart in the mouth that it kind of can be a lot. But the combination of that, again, yeasty malt that I'm talking about, the straw, the hay, along with the like rich, very luscious, very delicious flavor of some really intense citrus. I mean, even if it's coming from Tang powder or wherever, it really marries well together and makes for less of a sort of puckering, tart drinking experience. It's very well balanced. I can see why. I mean, this is definitely a crowd favorite. I think it first debuted in like 2019, and they just keep bringing it back because people love it. So you definitely see why. It's in the mouth, obviously tart, but again, not too tart. And there's definitely like a weedy quality to it. Something almost Blue Moon-like about it. When you take yeah, really, because it's kind of the wheat malt quality of like a Belgian white with the orange on top of it, which is why, I mean, it relates to Blue Moon almost more than anything else because they have the orange wheel and or shock top. Maybe is that the one that does that? So
no, I think they both do, but Blue Moon's got the orange wedge in there.
Yeah. So I mean, it really reminds me of that. It's again, it's 4.5% ABV, so it's pretty easy to drink. I'm surprised because honestly, the nose is interesting, but the amount of like, I don't know how to say it, Tang flavor. Like it's like sweet orange. It's very sweet, almost candied orange. It's surprising how much that comes through in the mouth, and it's really good, and it makes for a really balanced beer. I am pleasantly surprised by this. I was a slight skeptic, and I'm enjoying it immensely.
So now let me. So I was just gonna ask, like, is it good? Do you like it? Nice.
Yes. In terms of like sours, I mean, I think Gabe and I have been pretty, upfront on the show that sours aren't always the first ones we reach for, and other people, that is what they reach for. I think if you're a sour person, you're gonna love this, and if you're not a sour person, this might be one that you could sit there and like hang with your sour friends because it's got enough beer in it that it's not like I'm drinking a wine or something. It's not so elevated that it's out of the world of beer. It's pretty straightforward. You got your, it's a Gose, so you have salt quality too, right? You have that like salt water quality to it. You have a little bit of lime, a little bit of zest, but there's a lot of flavor, depth of flavor that they were able to pull off with this. And It's tangy.
I love that they call it breakfast drink. It's like when TV shows or movies, like they can't say Gatorade, so they call it sports drink.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Like, oh my God. Like, it's just so funny because what we'll all do to not get sued.
Like, they can put Tang in the title because I doubt that the word Tang is copyrighted, but if they say that it has Tang, the ingredient in it, they probably could get in trouble for that, I guess. I don't know.
Tang, TM. My turn. I've got the Sundown in Prague. This is a dry hopped Czech style Pilsner. Stephen talked about the artwork. My artwork is just luscious. It is just lively and inviting. Look at those swans. Just
Bob is
chilling.
foaming at the mouth already.
Oh, yeah. Bob's ready to just freaking take control of this. Here is the guy in the glass for you YouTubers. I got just like a classic pint glass. Think of the beer emoji. It is 5.3% ABV. IBUs are none to speak of. Beer Advocate has yet to review it. Untapped gave it a 3.87. On the SRM chart, I would maybe call this like a 3. It looks a lot darker than it is on camera than it is personally straight up. It is very, very see-through clear, very light hay-colored yellow. It's literally like a 3. And it should be. It's a Pilsner.
Yeah, it's very, very
The
light.
note from the brewery. Yeah,
Just
very,
on
very
camera,
light.
yeah.
And so, yeah. The note from the brewery says a collaborative brew between Root Down Brewing, shout out, and Stolen Sun. It is dry hopped Czech style Pilsner brewed with Warrior, Hersbrucker, Saphir, and Super Sahir hops. Not super, Zuper with a Z. That is dope. The malt bill is German Pilsner.
Wait. We have to back this up. The hops are Hersbrucker, love it, and Superzazer? Superzazer?
Warrior? Superzazer.
Or Sazer. We love
like
Saz.
Saz, bro.
Saz.
So
Superzazer. Superzazer.
How many different ways
Okay.
can we do that? Like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, it sounds really badass.
I've never heard of any of those.
Same. We were talking about it all the time. We always get new hops on the show every once in a while, and bang, here we are. The malt bill is German Pilsner and Carapils, and then the hops are the ones we just mentioned. Root Down Brewing is also out of Pennsylvania. Go check them out. They have some good stuff. Their artwork, can artwork, is also really great. I took a quick peek at their site. But yeah, here is the beer. This is Sundown in Prague. They do have another version that I found on Beer Advocate called Sundown in somewhere. I don't remember what it was, but it's discontinued. So who gives a shit? So here we go for the smelling.
Yeah, I mean, very German in the malt and hop bill. Sort of a classic Czech style Pilsner, but I love to see a brewery that does, for a young brewery like this, or I don't know if young isn't the right word, but a smaller brewery like this to have a variety of beer styles across, the kinds of things. I mean, they obviously have a ton of IPAs. We'll get into it, but this is a classic Czech style Pilsner, and that makes it a lager, and not every brewery has lagers, so good on them.
And it smells like one too. Classic German notes. Pilsner style. It smells light. It smells a little bready. Smells a little malty, and it's got a little bit of sweetness to it. There's something accented on the nose, which really makes it great. I specifically didn't read these up front because I wanted to see how spot on it was, and I think it is. But the description from Root Down Brewing of the smell says dried apricots, lime pith, hibiscus perfume, slight mint, spicy resinous hops on the finish for the nose. I would agree with all that. I'm not really getting mint, to be honest, but everything else I'm really am getting. Like, the second you read the word lime and then you smell it, it's there. It's automatically there. Dried apricot, definitely, and maybe another sort of dried fruit. That it does come kind of forward very strong. But I'm excited, and here goes nothing.
Cheers. Yeah, the mint may be coming from, typically with Pilsners, there's like a heavy straw or hay quality to them. There's even some like corn, which our good friends over at Molson Coors have played up with their corn syrup. But that is the Pilsner style that they're playing on. So I would imagine that the mint thing comes from that like vegetal quality of the straw and the hay, along with like the tangy bitterness of like lime. That might be where they're getting that.
Yeah, and I could see that 100%. I didn't really get it, but I'm not saying it's not in there. This tastes like a classic Pilsner. It is very easy to drink. It is very malty, but sweet malt. It's got a great finish to it. It's really, really simple, but complex at the same time. It goes down really, really well. It's very clean in the back end in a way. It does have a little bit of a dry finish, but it's a compelling dry finish. It's not, something that's going to make you thirsty. It makes me want to go in for a second sip, but because of interest, not necessarily based off of like what it tastes like and things like that. It's got that hay richness to it. It does taste a tad bit earthy. Like it's just the smallest hint of earthiness, which really like brings out the other flavors. I feel like I'm getting apricot for some of you. I feel like I'm really getting that flavor more on the taste than the smell, but it is there and it is really interesting and I'm really into it. I would love to try other things that Root Down Brewing has done. Maybe they'll appear on the podcast. We'll see. But overall, just a solid Pilsner, straight up, very easy going. Can't go wrong. Start of a flight, start of the day, hangover, hair of the dog beer. I don't know what you're up to.
Love it. Well, I would say for time, let's dive into the brewery and what they're about.
Let's go to Philly.
Why not? So founded by Jonathan and Deirdre Zangwill. Jonathan's the founder, the brewmaster, and the roaster. Baby boy loves coffee and beer at the same time.
We got a triple threat on our hands.
Basically, Jonathan was a beer, industry veteran, and then he was working kind of the corporate side of things for a while, and he got interested in it, and I believe that they funded the whole thing themselves, Jonathan and Deirdre. They just went all in on building this brewery, and he built this place. It's a state-of-the-art coffee roasting facility, as well as a brewery with BBQ here in, what's the actual town it's in? It's in what's it called? Exton, PA.
Exton, Pennsylvania. Yes, they do have a kitchen, and I've seen the menu. Holy balls. Sounds good, looks good. They have an item called Icarus's Wings, and for you Greek mythology buffs like me, Icarus was the one, flew too close to the sun, and then he fell and died. But wings, get it? It's a pun, and they're probably really good.
The name Stolen Sun is kind of interesting. It comes from from Deirdre and John's son, but that's not why it's called Stolen Sun. It happens to be their son who did this, but it's not. It's son with a U. And then he made a song about how a cloudy day is like the clouds stealing the sun, as in sun with a U, like the bright thing in the sky, not the sun that is their offspring. And so he was like, so their son that is their offspring was like, hey, you should use my Sun in the Sky song. And they were like, that's great. And so Stolen Sun was born.
I was waiting for you to be like, the U, not the O. Like, I was waiting for that. You said it. Yeah. Yeah, they're really awesome from what we've read about. In 2021, they bought the space next door, which apparently was like a gym. And they were like, cool, no one's working out anymore. We're going to take it over. And so they bought it to expand their space. And right now they added in 2 new barrels. So right now they're working off of 12. And they're just churning out beer, coffee, and cocktails as much as they can. I would love to try some of their coffee.
They're churning out beer, coffee, cocktails, and love. And if you're on YouTube, you can see the space behind me. They have kind of a dope space that got much bigger with the expansion. They have, as we mentioned, barbecue and a great food menu. They have an upstairs seating area, tons of seating in this place. Apparently a piano. That's what I'm seeing in the corner here, which makes my heart sing.
Nice. Yeah, I was going to say, you get on there.
Yeah. It's they're doing everything right. They're doing very well in spite of the old COVID-19. And I love that, given what we talked about at the start of the show, Athletic Brewing is brewing beer to help you go to the gym. And this brewery just shut down a gym and took it. Like, let's just get drunk. I mean, really.
I mean, what are we doing here? What are we really doing here? Yeah. No,
yeah.
That's sign me up.
Now, where did this beer come from exactly? Did you go there? Did you?
No, I'm glad you mentioned that. This was actually a Christmas gift. I got 3 4-packs. The beers we're drinking came in all 4-packs from my girlfriend's sister and brother-in-law, Allie and Josh. Thank you. Merry Christmas. I was very excited. When I opened the bag. They live in PA. They can get this stuff. They said, Gabe will probably like this. And let me just, quick side note, I know we're strapped for time, but let me just say this. To anyone who has ever given us beer or given us money for beer as a Christmas gift and thought, oh man, they're probably going to be disappointed. Please don't beat yourself up. Why would we ever be disappointed? Half the time, it's cool beer to drink. The other half, in this case, was we got a podcast episode, because how the hell else are we going to get these beers other than going to Pennsylvania? So Christmas came to me, and then I brought Christmas to Stephen, and now here we are.
It's never too much, and I got to be honest, my apartment right now is stocked with a comical amount of beer. Like an amount of beer that seriously is like it's literally, it's laughable, and I have more on the way. And and yet I will never say no to more. Like, somebody gave me beer last night and I was like, this is awesome. I mean, I didn't need it, but I wanted it. You know what I mean? So I second the sentiment.
Of course. It works. It works.
All right. Should we move on to beer number 2?
Yes,
probably.
We should. And we're gonna tag team this one. So let's do it.
Let's do it. It's the Philly Chili. And it's a cold IPA. I like that description, cold IPA. Not entirely sure what they mean by that, but I like it. It makes it sound good.
We'll get into it. There's a reason. I learned it as well. It's not just like put it in the fridge. It's like, no, it's not just because it's a real thing. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a little tease for you. It is 7.8% ABV. IBUs are at 53. Beer Advocate has it at nothing. They haven't rated it. Untapped has it at 3.89. And here we are. It's in the glass here, probably. It's kind of light amber golden color, pretty clear. Definitely not sort of the New England style. SRM chart, I would probably put it around a 5 or 6. It's, again, like very clear, poured with a good white to eggshell head, little ring around the glass, a little bit of lacing, but
it's only a little bit darker than the Czech style Pilsner. So yeah,
it's light.
It looks really good though. Yeah, it looks good.
From the can, we teamed up with our friends at Deer Creek Malt House to bring you this deliciously crisp and hoppy cold IPA. This beer is loaded with Pennsylvania's own Deer Creek malt, featuring their colonial pills to give the beer a clean, refreshing base. Then we hopped it up in the kettle with Columbus, Simcoe, and Amarillo, and topped it off with a high Krausen dry hop with even more Simcoe, Amarillo, and Idaho number 7. Whoa. So there's science happening here.
Yeah, it's a science experiment. Bill Nye would love this. Right off the smell, I'm getting a little bit of that hoppiness, but I'm also getting a little bit of that malt backbone. I don't know if I'm smelling much other than hops and malt.
I mean, I'm smelling, but the flavors of the hops is definitely interesting. It's kind of tropical. It's pithy. You get your grapefruit. You get your orange rind. You know, you do get some maybe like mango. I don't get like a whole lot of like pineapple. Like, it's not super tropical. It's definitely more on the West Coast style.
Yeah,
it smells kind of bitter.
I think I'm just getting like a little bit of that, a little bit of something, but I'm actually not smelling a lot. It might just be me.
It's definitely more subtle. I would say it's definitely piney. It's earthy. It's got that grassiness to it. I just think, it's the smell is indicative of the West Coast style of IPA, not the New England style as much. So it definitely doesn't have that juicy quality. It's more earthy, a little bit more dank, but like you said, not super dank. I mean, the IBUs are at 53, so it's not like it's like a hop bomb per se.
Right.
But it's 7.8%. I mean, it's bordering on a DIPA, so it's don't sleep on this one. It packs a punch.
We got a DIPA on our hands, bro. The reason why it's called a cold IPA, this is from Deer Creek Malt House. We get another shout out. They quote it as a bold and juicy IPA. I don't know about that. That's yeast fermented at cold temperatures. So they are constructing it with cold in it somehow. But yeah, they call it a juicy IPA, which is this is we haven't even sipped it yet, and I can tell you right off the bat, this is not a juicy IPA by any stretch.
Typically beers that are fermented cold are lagers, not ales. This is an IPA. Interesting. Pushing the boundaries of science. Bill Nye, Albert Einstein, other scientists. Love it.
Bill Nye, Albert Einstein, the other ones.
They're
everywhere.
Oppenheimer. There's a movie coming out. Okay.
Oh my God. There sure is. Cillian Murphy, my boy. Anyway, let's do it.
Cheers.
Cheers to the scientists.
Cheers to the new Chris Nolan movie that's coming out.
Okay. So right off the bat, the trailer. You see Cillian Murphy's character. No, I'm kidding. No, this is a West Coast style. It just is. It's got the slight bitter hop bite. It does feel earthy and a little dank. It is carbonated very, very well. The Pilsner was as well, but this one I'm really getting it. It's like really like upfront and personal. It's a little aromatic. It really tastes like just like a solid, like I'm not getting like, oh, there's this and there's that, there's this and that. It's just like straight up like West Coast hoppy beer. Like I think it might taste like 7.8%, I mean, obviously it's better cold. Every beer is better cold. And I don't know, I'm a big fan. But that's the one thing, like for me, there are not a lot of flavors that make me latch on and go, oh, I'm really getting this. I'm really getting that. I'm getting hops. I'm getting earthy. I'm getting bite. I'm getting beer. Period.
Yeah, I agree with you that it's a West Coast through and through. What I will say is the hops are the star of the show for sure. There is a whole lot going on in terms of, some citrus, but it's really, really dank. It's very piney. It's a lot of resin. It's a lot of hop bite. If you are somebody who likes the West Coast style, this will make you happy. And if you're somebody who tends to lean towards the juicy, the description of this as juicy is incorrect. I think it's not what you think of. It's not what you're looking for when you look for a juicy IPA. It's definitely a West Coast. That said, like for someone like me who craves that West Coast style, this is classic. This is honestly hard to find these days. It's very, very good. And I do think that we shouldn't gloss over the dry hopping and the addition of the Simcoe, the Amarillo, and the Idaho 7 after the fact, because I think that adds a, how do I put this? I mean, an earthy quality to it. It adds a sort of straw thing that is sort of on the back end as you're swallowing it, that makes it not just a hop punch of like citrusy and piney hops, but also something earthy or a little bit more mellow to just balance it out. The mouthfeel, like you said, it's carbonated well. It's dank. It's definitely, I think it does drink like 7.8. I think you're not going to mistake this beer. Like the alcohol is not really hiding from you. It's definitely present. It's definitely doing its part, but it's bitter. It's classic. It's old school, honestly. It's like the kind of IPA that people don't brew as much anymore. So they did
This
the
is
damn
like-
thing. They're showing off the hops.
This is like when people, they're like, oh, this is our American IPA. It's like, yeah, we know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I love it. I would order this in the brewery. Absolutely. This is a go-to type beer style for me. And I think I just like the description of it as a cold IPA. I don't really know what that means, but in my head, what it says to me is I think this is going to be bitter. And that's not what they meant when they named it that way, but that's what my head does, because I think of cryo hopping and I think of like frozen hops and the kind of pungent bitterness that implies. And while that may not be what they did with this beer, that's what it evokes in my brain. And so I would order this and I would be very happy if I did. So if you're a hop
this
head,
would
Philly
definitely
chili.
be like in my flight selection.
yeah,
You know, like I think it just has to be. It might be number 3, it might be number 4, you know, depending on if like I want like a stout or something. But yeah, this Philly chili, definitely sign up, get up to it, find it, buy it, and look at this can. Look how fun this can is.
speaking of, that's what we think about the beer. What does Bob Ross think about what's going on over here?
Can art and crafts.
See, the thing about the Oppenheimer movie is the trailer came out like a year in advance. Sorry, I got sidetracked. All right, let's go in order as we normally do. Steven's got his can. He's got his Tang. Stolen Sun is a fun little sun who's behind some hop flowers, who's looking off into the distance. Tang, orange and black, just classic. We've got some... I'm glad you drank this beer because you mentioned meatballs, and they look like meatballs from my perspective anyway. They're in space, and they're happy, and they're drinking, and they look like they're having fun. It's fun artwork. It's a cartoon. It makes you happy. It'll make you smile. There's no way it won't. Excellent. Then we've got the Sundown in Prague, which is just so pretty, bright colors, and it just overlooking the city and swans swimming in the lake. And they look so fun and inviting, and it's just like, there are hop flowers dancing. Like, how could you not be into this? But it's so unbelievably detailed. And for anyone who's a Phoenix Suns fan, it is just Phoenix Suns colors, orange and purple. If you like that team, y'all got Durant, so y'all should be happy. If you like that team, you'll buy this beer just based off of that. And then we've got the Philly chili. Philly chili. I love that, saying it like that. This one is pretty simple, but at the same time, if you look close, like the logo kind of like dances off the light. Like it's the Philly Liberty Bell and what appears to be a snowflake. That's cute. That checks out though. Philly chili, cold IPA. I mean, it's just fun, and the light kind of bounces off of it. So the can artwork is really great. It's really different. I think if these beers were next to other beers, you would know exactly what they are. I'm going to give Tang a 7.9. I am going to give Philly Chili a 9.1. And I got to give the Sundown in Prague... I mean, I gotta do it. Like, if you're on YouTube, like, look at this thing. It's just so unbelievably detailed. Like, they didn't have to go as hard as they did. And they literally all said, hold my Czech-style Pilsner beers. We're gonna go in on this artwork. Bob Ross is here. Bob Ross agrees. Bob Ross has thoughts about Oppenheimer as well, but we're gonna save those for another time. Relax, don't worry about it. And that's another great edition of Can Arts and Crafts, baby!
As for what's on tap, we have a whole lot of IPAs going on at this brewery as of this recording. This very day, they were pouring a bunch of New England IPAs. They got a pale ale. They got a DIPA. They got most of the beers that we're drinking. They also go Belgian. They have a Belgian double called the Cherry Cherry.
Double.
Cherry Cherry.
Cherry Cherry.
And the Belgian Tripel as well.
Corporate
and then
Monkey.
The Corporate Monkey. And then you gotta have it.
It's a great name.
Obviously, they've got a Java Stout. How could you not have a coffee stout at a coffee brewery roastery situation? It's called Jumpy John's Java Stout.
And here's the thing. It's probably so fucking good. Like,
yes,
if they're making coffee, we didn't really talk about a lot about the coffee, but they make coffee in-house. It's what they do. John, the head brewer, master founder, what have you. It's his jam. He started roasting a long time ago and just brought it over. But if they're making their own coffee, like, they have to make a good coffee style. It's good coffee stout. Like, there's no way it's bad, you know?
Obviously. And if you're a fan of coffee, they have a bunch of different blends for you. They have a
blends.
I don't even know how to describe coffee blends, so I won't even bother. They do have a bourbon barrel aged coffee blend. They took their Gustavo de Jesus Rivera Finca El Retiro. How'd I do? Woo! And they then bourbon barrel aged it. Michael, how do you feel about
Exclamation
that?
point!
Let's go. That sounds delicious.
Incredible. Yeah. They have something called Unicorn Tears.
Is that
that's
a
at the
coffee
roastery.
or a beer?
That's a coffee. That sounds fun. It sounds like it'll wake you up in the morning.
And then if you are a fan of barbecue, which who isn't, they are going to make you happy on the food menu side of things. They got brisket poutine, they got pastrami's, they got brisket tacos, they got a Cubano, they got a hand sandwich thing, they got a Philly cheesesteak, because why wouldn't they? They got boardwalk fries because they're near enough to Jersey that they can have that, and they have all kinds of dips and pretzels and delicious things, and it just makes me want to go there, and it makes me hungry, and I haven't eaten enough today.
And Diet Pepsi.
And most importantly, Diet Pepsi.
No, but they have a bunch of other stuff, and it's excellent and amazing. And, honestly, check out their social media, because the photos on there, it's like, oh boy, like, it'll make you start watering immediately. Holy shit.
We should throw out also wines. Everything there is kept local, but they team up with Penn's Woods Wines, which is a local winery. They have cocktails, they have ciders, they got something for everybody. So if you visit Stolen Sun, you're not going to go unsatisfied.
It's insane. They really know what they're doing, and they're doing a lot of it, which is fun and amazing to see. So John and Deirdre, well done. Keep going. Reach for the stars. I hope y'all do iced coffee, because that's how I like it, but I'm sure you do. It's fine. We'll talk about it later.
And with that, it's time for our last call.
Last call.
Who here likes ketchup? I do. It's great. Steven, not so much, but whatever. This is not necessarily, it's kind of about ketchup, but not really. So, there was a man who was lost at sea. His name was Elvis Francois. He was lost out to sea. He was fixing his boat. Boat drifted away. Couldn't get the motor to run. Couldn't get help. He was out to sea for a few weeks. He said he survived off of eating ketchup and spices and something else that Maggie stock cubes. He lives in the Caribbean, so I think that's a Caribbean local thing. Of course, I didn't Google it because I'm an idiot. He would mix it with water. But basically, long story short, he lived off of ketchup until he got rescued. That's not where this story expands. Heinz Ketchup, the ketchup people, the people in the ketchup business, basically wanted to help this guy out. They wanted to give him a boat because apparently this is all it takes. Okay, so they went on a social media rampage and they basically were like, hey, world, help us find this guy. We want to find him, and we want him to know that we're going to hook him up with a new boat. They're calling it the hashtag Find the Ketchup Boat Guy. And apparently, they couldn't find him. The internet, we're living in 2023. The internet is the way it is, and they couldn't find this guy. He, is off in the Caribbean in a place called Dominica. They posted a photo, which seems a little stalkerish, of the location he was in, and it literally just says, he's here somewhere. We just don't know where. Help us find this guy so we can give him a boat. He's been found. They've connected. And it's not just like, hey, man, here's a boat. They're like in talks about how he wants to receive the boat. And they're like working. It's a collaborative effort, and they're like working with him. So if you want a new boat, go out to sea, be stranded, and eat ketchup for a few weeks, and you'll get a new boat. Stephen, what are your thoughts?
Okay. So here's the thing. I don't really care about Heinz giving him a boat. Like, that's cute. But this guy was lost at sea for 24 days, and all he did was eat ketchup and garlic powder and something else that we aren't sure what it is, and mixed it with water. And I cannot tell you how revolting that sounds to me. I mean, look, ketchup has a place in this world. If I'm eating French fries and there's no like aioli around, I will dip in a ketchup every now and then, but it's gotta be few and far between. That stuff has a lot of sugar in it, a lot of corn syrup in it, and it kind of grosses me out. And I do not like bottles of it in my fridge. And so I cannot, all right, you've seen 127 Hours, right? With James Franco.
I haven't seen it, but like I have seen it. You know, it's
all
like
right,
I know.
The TLDR, James Franco gets his like arm stuck in a rock and he has to drink his piss. Point is, I don't.
Wait a minute.
I don't know which one would be harder for me. This sounds just as gross,
Steven.
to have to eat ketchup every day, like by itself.
Okay, now let me ask you something. Somebody
I don't like
small,
tomatoes.
I don't care. Someone puts ketchup in front of you and your own piss and says drink one. You're gonna have a tough time deciding that. I'm like, give me the red stuff. That's easy. I like ketchup. I don't really love it by itself, but I don't know. People get desperate when they're starving.
I mean, logically, when you put it like that, logically it does sound dumb. I'm trying to imagine having to force myself to just drink straight up ketchup. And
I mean,
like,
you could just go hungry for 24 days.
I mean,
also he's out to sea. Like, I'd be trying to fish. I mean, I'm sure he tried, but
this is all secondary to the first discussion of like, why did he go out to sea with a bottle of ketchup? Like, of everything he thought to bring, why was a bottle of ketchup and garlic powder on the list?
No. He was fixing his boat and it like drifted off to sea and it was broken, so he couldn't get it back. And then he was like, okay, well, I need to eat. And all he had was ketchup and spices.
Yeah, but I still don't understand why the ketchup and spices were there. Like, was he eating lunch and he finished and he was like, I must bring my ketchup, my spices, and my sandwiches. And then he ate the sandwich with the ketchup and the spices. And he was like, I'll bring the ketchup and the spices back tomorrow. But then the boat drifted away. And so all he was left with was the ketchup and spices. I just don't understand.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know. No, it's weird. It's a little different, but yeah, he had to write like help on the side of the boat, and finally somebody saw him and found him. And
we love a rescue story. I'm thrilled for this guy. Don't get me wrong. I just the idea of drinking ketchup in water is true. I mean, I genuinely gag if like I have to wash ketchup off a plate. It just grosses me. It is gross to me. That stuff is disgusting to me. I can eat it on French fries, but like in globs, it just really grosses me out. And I like it to come from a restaurant. I do not like it to be in my fridge in like a bottle where it's really cold too. Like restaurants, it's like room temperature, and somehow that makes it okay. I do not like it I don't know. It's just one of those weird things. It's just a weird, I'm not a ketchup guy.
So let me ask you this. How did you feel when we were living together? Because I have ketchup all the time.
It was fun. I mean, I just never touched it.
Every time you open the fridge, were you kind of like blinded, like shielding
I never
your
really
eyes?
thought about it. But it's like, it's funny because I live with someone now and we don't have it, and it never comes up ever because he doesn't eat it either. And so it never crossed my mind. But then we had a Superbowl party and someone was like, do you have ketchup? And I was like, wow, that is the first time I've even thought of that. No, we do not. We have aioli.
Yeah.
We got barbecue sauce.
Aioli's very good.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. I hear you. I do. It's not for everyone. It's definitely not the most healthy thing for you, but I enjoy it. I'm a big.
Would you drink it straight? I would. If I would
have trouble. I would have trouble with that. I also did a quick search. The Maggi stock cubes. It's like the chicken bouillon, which is like.
Oh yeah.
So if you mix that in water, that creates like a paste, if you will. Like not really, but like that I get him eating that. But
I understand that. That's like soup.
Yeah. I would have a tough time with ketchup straight up. But like I said, when you're starving, I mean, it's basically just pure tomato puree with sugar.
Yeah, I get it. And I'm glad that he's okay. And that's the main point. But that is, I would drink 1,000 of those tomato beers that we drank before I drank one beer that had been made with ketchup.
No, I'm the complete opposite. I would much rather drink straight ketchup than touch
No, I said a beer made with ketchup. But wait, really? You would rather drink straight ketchup by itself? Nothing else just straight up ketchup. You'd rather drink that than that tomato basil beer, which admittedly was terrible. 4 quarters. Why did you do that to us? But you'd rather drink ketchup?
100% yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yes, I would.
Wow. So take that 4 quarters.
Wait, how much ketchup?
A can worth. I mean, if you got to drink a pint can of ketchup,
now we're talking. I'm thinking like a little like guy of or just a little.
I mean, even that is disgusting. I can't believe it's
probably
like it's like eating butter off the stick to me. It's just like
how would you do it for a boat?
How big is the boat?
How big is the boat? Is that what you said?
How big is the boat? Yeah.
A yacht that
we gotta
party
go
off of.
I would do it for that. We have to go.
Hell yeah.
I would just like to call out the fact that we really did come full circle this episode because we talked about ketchup with Pat Mahomes at the beginning, and now we're talking about ketchup again. So we know what we're doing here on The Hop. We are professionals. Ladies and gentlemen, Stolen Sun Brewery. Check them out. Happy National Meatball Day. Thank you for sticking with us through that, and we hope you enjoyed it.
Thanks for not leaving during that. That was the best part of this episode anyway. Who cares?
We'll be back in 2
see you guys
weeks.
in 2 weeks.
For St. Patty's Day episode, so you know what you have to look forward to.
They're magically delicious.
He'll be here. We'll be here. And it's going to be a good time. Until then, be well, be safe, stay classy, drink good beer.
Peace out, y'all.
Cheers.